Welcome.
Yes, Paul, thank you very much. You are there in the warm Uganda. Here down in Cape Town, it's cold. But anyway, I'm so happy to be with you. And thank you, Paul, for facilitating this. This is now, according to our arrangement, the last of the follow-up meetings. And the idea was just as Paul said, you know, sometimes we need to be reminded of things. And I was listening to a John Maxwell video, or looking at a John Maxwell video just last week. And the things that I knew suddenly struck me again, and I realized, oops, I'm falling flat on this issue. So my purpose is just to help you to gain to gain understanding on the one hand, and to, on the other hand, just be reminded of some very crucial things in the business. You know, I was listening. We had a senior manager school this week on Zoom, and Anna Maria Riccardi came in on this meeting, and she said that understanding is like getting a light to go on. You know, without understanding, it's like coming into a very, very dark room, which you don't know. And without light, you're going to fumble and stumble and perhaps hurt yourself. But once you can switch on the light, you can see where you are, you can see where to go. And what I found is that, you know, our upbringing, even at home, and I had lovely parents. Really, I so appreciate the parents I had. They're long gone now, but they, with all the love they gave me and with everything they gave me, I don't think ever understood the idea of personal development. And I think that's true in most homes where we grow up. And even our school training and our tertiary education, that's aimed at technical or professional skills and knowledge. Nowhere do we really get trained about the soft skills of life. And that's one of the things I so appreciate about Neolife. Apart from everything else Neolife has given us and continues to give us and will give us in future, is that when we started in Neolife way back in 1983, I was told, buy a set of tapes. Now, those days it was still tapes. These days we don't even get CDs anymore, so things progress. But anyway, by Jim Rohn, Adventures in Achievement. And therefore, the first time I started learning about more about myself and about the fact that you as a person, you are responsible for your life and for the outcomes in your life. And the other book there was a book that we were told to read, and that is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, I must tell you, I found that a very weird book. And I had great difficulty to, coming from a church Christian pastoral background, to identify with some of the ideas that he put forward. But as I read more and more over the years, my understanding grew, and I understood, even although the way Napoleon Hill put some of the things, they are vital life principles. And why I try to share with you is because I deeply care about you. And I've said that before. It doesn't matter if you're in my team or not, because we're a family, and when it goes well with everybody, it goes well for everybody. When somebody's hurting, when somebody's stumbling in the dark and perhaps having problems or causing problems, it hurts all of us. So my mission is to take although it's still limited, my limited understanding of how we should live our lives and therefore our business, and share what I've learned. And I repeat, it's not me presenting my wisdom. It's not how good I am. It's what I've learned. Because without the learning I've been privileged to have, I would be nowhere. And the only advantage I have over any of you is that I've been learning longer than you. I maybe know a little more than you. And I feel obliged to share that with you, because I know when we lack understanding, things can go wrong. I've seen it. I've seen it in my own business. I've seen it in general in your life. Although I don't tend to watch what happens in other teams, because I can't, I don't really know the ins and outs of what happens in other teams. But I've seen in my own business where uh, enthusiasm and drive can take people to a certain level. But if the character and the life skills are not strongly in place, if there's some dark spots, some blind spots, that is very difficult to sustain a business like ours. Because remember, our business is built with people. And our success is dependent on how successfully we can relate to people and work with people and bring people up. And unfortunately, all of us, myself included, we're part of the human race. I mean, that's an obvious statement. But part of human nature is two-sided. There's good and bad in each of us. And our challenge in life is always to let the good overcome the bad. Now, what are the bad? The bad is basically selfishness. And when I talk about these things, don't think that I don't have to battle with it myself. I'm no different from you. But I know how destructive selfishness can be. I've had very, very close first-hand experience of that. It can be devastating in the relationships. I've seen it in the business. Where everything revolves around me and my performance and how well I look and how well I do. And where I consequently would use people for what they must do for me, not necessarily what I can do for them. And that is such a vital point to grasp. And I know you all understand that. I've quoted Zig Ziglar so often that we can have everything in life provided we help enough other people have what they want. But then if I look at what happens practically, what happens in our business, I often see people living as if they've never heard that, or if they don't understand that, where downlines are mistreated, manipulated. There are even cases where downlines are seen as the enemy. Man, that is, I can't understand that. It defies all the laws of success for our kind of business. Our kind of business, you need others to become successful. The more successful they become, the more they push you up. The more people that become successful, the more you get pushed up. Till you get to a point where you have an organization of so many people that you can actually do nothing and still earn a good income. Now, you don't really want to get to that point in your life, because that means you're over the hill. And that's why I keep active in the business. In fact, I'm just starting to rebuild a brand new team in my directorship, because for quite a while, by choice and to some extent by circumstance, I've been slow in personally building. But I'm changing that because I'm now ready and I want to do that. And what I realize more and more is people out there need what we have. You know, I get so many questions from people up in Africa. Well, I'm in Africa as well, but people coming into our business in places where health facilities and healthcare is probably not very good. And they're desperate to get help. And I often have to say to people, well, listen, we can't help with our products for this specific situation, something that really just needs medical attention. But people have a need that only we can really fulfill. On the one hand, with the products, on the other hand, with the business opportunities. And I know you know that. But, that is what drives me. And as I said, my mission is to try and empower people like yourselves and those who will still come in after you and new people, to empower you to get the understanding and the insight that is necessary to succeed in a people's business. So I'm so happy that you've joined the game this morning. I'm always marvel at the fact that when people attend anything I do, I just thank God and say, well, what a blessing that I'm given the opportunity to do what I love doing. So what I want to remind you of is that, everything in our lives presents us with choices, every situation. And we win or lose by how we choose. We win or lose by how we choose. And it's not as if we make the right choice once and now everything is going to be all right forever. From situation to situation, we've got to make choices. How do I handle this situation? How do I treat this person in this situation? And if I mistreat one person in one situation, that could be the beginning of the end for that person in our business. And the sad thing is, whenever anybody fails in our business or quits, it has a ripple effect because they affect other people negatively. I remember when we had 3, 4 diamonds quitting our business, they turned around and said to people, there's no money in your life. And because they were high up in business, people thought, well, they must know. And we are still having the after effect of that today. Because remember, bad news spreads faster than good news. So we've got to be so careful with every individual we deal with. And sometimes, and I know that sometimes you just don't have the energy or you don't feel up to being nice and responsive. But you've got to not let your emotions dictate how you deal with people. What sometimes irritates me, especially late at night, and I might be tired, I might just be wishing for some quiet, and the phone keeps beeping with WhatsApps. And I might think, oh, please, can't they leave me alone? And then I've got to tell myself, no, no, no. If people leave you alone, it means your business is going to go down. Pick up the phone, respond, and be helpful. I heard Kendra once say, we must get over ourselves. We must get over ourselves, our own hang-ups, our own whatever, and be there for people. And I mentioned that for those of you who were at the director workshop, for those of you who weren't, let me just repeat that. I'm a Christian, and I know many of you are Christians. If you're not, just accept what I'm saying, and I'm not excluding you if you're not a Christian. But you know, the Bible puts so much emphasis on being humble, as opposed to being prideful and full of ego. Because if you're humble, you can serve. If you're proud, you want to be served. And the fact is that we can't be proud and high and mighty and succeed in this business. In fact, the Bible is so clear on it that before pride or after pride comes a fall. And I've seen it so often. So I want to remind you that our choice is always about being a servant or wanting to be the master or the mistress who is being served. And you know, I'm reminded of something else in Scripture that says, they who want to be first will be last. And for me, the ultimate example of humbleness is Jesus, who washed the feet of his disciples. That was a job that slaves did. Yet here was the master of the universe washing his disciples' feet. And that is the attitude that we've got to cultivate. And that doesn't come naturally. I know that. It doesn't come naturally. But we've got to cultivate that. And we've got to work on it until it becomes habit, until it becomes who we are. That means that wherever we deal with people, we've got to look at them for what we can do for them. John Maxwell always emphasizes the fact that we've got to value people. Now, sometimes that's difficult. You get very difficult people. You get unattractive people. And I don't mean physically unattractive, just people who are unattractive. Or you get people who you don't really want to associate with. Now, I'm not saying that, you should associate with people who are going to pull you down. What I'm saying is that sometimes the people that come to us in the business are people that we naturally wouldn't bother with. But whenever somebody puts their faith in New Life and in us as uplines and sponsors, we've got that responsibility to, irrespective of where the person comes from, to be their servant. And the more we do that, the more we will get people not just coming to us, but also staying with us. The frightening thing is, I'm talking about looking at my own personal team. That part that I'm primarily responsible for. And it's no different from what I see whenever I take the opportunity of looking at yours, those that I can access. If you go to the back office and you look at your team and you scroll down, you'll see probably 90 to 95% of people who do nothing. 0, 0, 0, 0. Here and there, somebody does a little bit. Yeah, that means a lot of people that we've at some stage reached and touched and lost. Now, however good we may be, we'll always lose some people. We can't win everybody. But the fact that the majority of people in our teams end up doing nothing is something that should really worry us and something that we should work against. Now, sometimes people like that will never recover. It might be a waste of time to do that. But What we need to do is when we start new people, we must work with them so that if they end up doing nothing, it must never be because of us. And that's a big challenge. You know, AJ emphasized that again, and I also pointed that out, that the company says a proper target is every 1 out of 2 people we sponsor should become at least manager. 20% should become senior manager, 10% executive manager, 3% director. Now, that alone means that a lot of people are not ever going to become directors. And we've got to understand that's life. But the fact is that we were looking at the percentages just earlier in the week. And in my own team, my personal team, and in Kenya and Uganda as a whole, we are far behind even reaching that target. My point is that we've got to work on building relationship with people by serving them, by valuing them, by mentoring them. I mentioned last time we had this meeting that, you know, it's wonderful, the group trainings, we have the Zoom trainings and wherever there are live trainings. We should always work on that. But just to rely on that is not enough. And the reason for that is that people differ. People's needs are different. They're different personalities. And if we can't connect with key people, and I know we can't do that with everyone, but we've got to identify what I call the A-team people. The people who are wanting to move and who are actually moving. And spend 80% of our time with them. And 20% of our time with those who are there and thereabouts, but they're not really ready to move. And then give those people the kind of personal attention that would reveal to us where that person is, what their needs are. Because we can't expect people to just come to where we are. We've got to go to where they are. Meet them at their point of need. Meet them and discover their vulnerabilities. Discover their talents and build on those. And that's not easy. That's time consuming. But our biggest investment in this business is not the money we invest in buying the kit. It's not the money we invest in doing trainings. It's the time and effort we invest in the lives of individuals. You know, we started very slowly in the business because I was still in the ministry. I was working very, very long hours, almost 7 days a week. And I initially thought this isn't really for me. So it went through a long period of development and gaining insight and understanding, almost 3 years, before I made the commitment to now really get going in the business. And I'll never forget, there was a person high up in the training leadership of the company, Peter Riggs. He was involved with Billy Graham. And Peter Riggs was a motivational speaker in New Life. And I trusted him very much. And I came to a point in my life where I now had to make the decision, am I going to leave the formal ministry and go full-time into the business or not? And I really had a need to, I felt I wanted to speak to Peter Riggs. And Peter Riggs happened to come to a convention in Cape Town. We lived in Grahamstown. That's probably 1,200 kilometers from Cape, no, let's say 1,000 kilometers from Cape Town. I had no money to fly there. We only had one car. I couldn't take the car because then Renee would have been left with the children without transport. So Charlie lent me one of his cars, and I drove down in Charlie's car specifically to have time with Peter Riggs. And that conversation I had with him in the Sun Hotel down in Cape Town, I often think about that when I drive past that hotel. That decision helped me to make a major change in my life. But had Charlie not lent me his car, I wouldn't have gone there. So you see that personal attention. Now, I'm not saying you lend your car to each and everybody. I'm just using that as an example of personal attention given to somebody who wasn't really doing much in the business. Maybe he saw something in me that I didn't even see myself, but however, that was a turning point in my life due to what my upline did for me, which he needn't have done. So what I'm saying is meet people or go to where people are. Don't just expect them to come to you. Come to your Zoom training. Come to your whatever you do. Now, I want to just touch on the idea of leadership again. The fact is that the moment somebody sponsors somebody, that upline becomes a leader. Because you now have the responsibility to lead your new person, not just into the business, but to lead them to understand the business, to lead them to where they start being able to go without the sponsor's help. So I know how it is. That was my thinking as well in the beginning, that the top pins are the leaders. The rest of us are just the followers. Doesn't matter if you're a director or a 1 or a 2 Ruby. The higher pins, they're the leaders. No. We're all leaders. The higher the pin level just means the more responsibility we have as leaders to value people, to serve people, and to build people. Leadership is not about the pin. It's not about the position. John Maxwell and I keep mentioning him because he is so wise when it comes to leadership. He says leadership is essentially influence. Leadership is influence. It's not the position you hold. I've seen people with, and I say that again, and it's not just my own team, I've seen it elsewhere, people with high pins who are not even in the business anymore, diamonds. Why? Because the leadership was not on the level of the pin. And we sometimes make the mistake when we have a new that's just another point. When we have a new director developing, we think, oh, this person is now director. They're now okay. They can now go and stand on their own. Somebody could have the pin, but they don't necessarily have the skills or the confidence or the character to take the leadership role associated with that pin. And whenever that happens, and there's no further mentorship, that person isn't helped to develop personally, they're going to drop from whatever level they are to where they came from. So my point is that all of us are leaders. And we're just on different levels of leadership. And leadership has got nothing to do with, I'm now the big one, I'm now the boss, everybody's got to honor and praise me and bow before me. If that is our understanding of leadership, we're making a mess of it, especially in our kind of business. People join our business to get away from bosses, not to find a upline who's now progressed in the business, who's now the boss. Really, I'm serious about that. If we act as bosses and want to push people around and manipulate people, uh, that's really dumb. It's really, really dumb. And I've seen the detrimental effect of that. The higher we rise in leadership, just means the bigger our responsibility becomes to guide and mentor and keep people safe until they are strong in the business. You know, I'm reminded of about what Scripture says: to them that have given more will be required more. So the bigger our sphere of influence becomes, the more our responsibility to serve, not to boss, but to serve. And we all know that leadership can go in one of three directions. It can all be positive, uplifting, making people stronger, or it can go in another direction, being negative and mistreating people. Or it could simply be indifferent, absent. You know, we're glad to have the people, but man, they've got to do their own thing and hopefully everything will be all right. That's not good enough. We've got to, in a sense, get our hands dirty, wash the feet of people proverbially. We can't stand on the sideline and watch and hope things will happen. So to sum that up, leadership is not in the position. Leadership is where we have responsibility for somebody else because we are in a position to influence them. And the influence we bring to that person is to a large extent going to determine what is going to happen to that person. If it's positive, uplifting, supporting, caring, that person has a good chance of growing in the business. If indifferent or bad, we're helping that person to become a negative and be out of the business. And that requires that we just humble ourselves to being the servant instead of being the king and the queen who needs to be served. And you know, that I believe is why New Life so emphasizes as one of the basics of the business, personal development. I don't know of any other business that has that as a basic, and a basic means basic. It's foundational. And I hope you understand by this time why it's foundational. But my challenge, as is your challenge, is to not just know that mentally, but to emotionally and personally immerse ourselves in personal development. And last time I mentioned like Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, there are many others, but you don't want to get involved with too much. But Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, and you can find them on WhatsApp. You can get their books. And from a business point of view, Eric Worre as an example. But I'm more concerned about the personal side, the soft skill side. If we don't grow, we can't help our teams grow. Because what I found, one of the biggest challenges we have is that the people that come into our business very often so much need to grow personally from where they are to where they need to be for them to make a success. So it's not just us growing personally. We've got to grow personally to become mentors, to guide others to grow personally. And we can't take people where we haven't been. We can't help people be mature if we're immature. We can't help people have a servant mentality if we don't have it. We can't teach people to be humble if we're full of pride. So folks, and really, I'm not preaching at you. Whenever I talk about these things, I know I'm talking to me as well. That is our big challenges. If we can become the kind of leaders that people will want to be around and stay around, our businesses will start looking very differently. Now, sadly, in Kenya and Uganda over the last years, the reality is that we've had challenges with that. And that's why the results are down. Now, I'm happy to see the results are starting to turn around. But if the challenge that I'm referring to is not addressed, and that's not others who should do it, we should each look at ourselves. If we can't resolve that, we'll always have a block on our legs. And that's why I talk to you as leaders in a way that you may say, well, why does he keep talking about that? It's irritating. It may even make you angry, especially if people feel guilty or know they're guilty. They'll get angry when I talk about these things. But folks, it's necessary. I care enough about you to be honest with you. I care enough about you to be honest with you. I've had situations where I could have kept quiet and the damage would have continued, where I spoke up and people were not happy about that. But, it's like if you go to the doctor and the doctor happens to be a good friend and the doctor discovers something really seriously wrong with you. But now the doctor says, oh, I don't want to scare this person or upset them. So I won't tell them. Would that be good doctoring? So folks, when I speak to you like this, it's for the benefit of all of us. And there's nothing I'd like to see more than to see Kenya and Uganda become where Kenya and Uganda used to be, where the other countries took you as the yardstick, where the other countries felt that they were behind and they had to compete with you. We can be there again. But remember, it's up to us. We are the leaders, call it the top leaders at this stage, with a lot of people looking up to us. And it's up to us to create an environment where people will feel welcome, valued, and where they want to stay. I often refer to the first convention I attended, just after we joined. The experience I had at that convention blew my mind. That was in 1983, when we still had apartheid. I don't know how the company did it, but all the races were there, irrespective of the apartheid laws. But the thing that struck me most was I sat there and I sensed a feeling of love and warmth. Now, I never associated business with love and warmth. But that experience was so overwhelming. Let me tell you something that I say hesitatingly, because it shocked me. I sat there and I thought, why isn't it like this in the church? Now, for a pastor to have to think that, and now even say that's a big statement. And that's our responsibility to make New Life a place where people say, wow, here is love, here is warmth, here's friendship. Because out there, it's not like that. Those of you who come from the corporate world, those of you who have been in jobs, you know that out there, it's not like that. People want to get away from a job situation with the boss They want the freedom. They want to have the growth. They want to tap into the potential new life has. And let not one of us stand in the way of that. I know you may have issues with people upline, downline, crossline. Sort it out. Get it behind you. Get over yourself. Let's take hands. And then to get to the end of what I wanted to share with you today, just remember that you've got more potential. And again, I include myself in that, than we can realize. Now, I mentioned at the director workshop, a friend of mine, whose son had a gate of a couple of 100 kilos falling on him, little one. And this woman went and with one hand lifted that gate, with the other hand pulled the little boy out from under it. Now, a huge, big, strong man would probably have difficulty lifting that gate by himself. She lifted it with one hand. That went way beyond what we would have thought is possible. You know, and that's one of the beauties of being human and human nature, and that is that we have the potential to change. We have the potential to grow. We have the potential to become more and do more. And in as much as we become more and do more, we will have more. So I'm saying to all of us, including myself, that we underestimate the potential we have. And I know you can do it. I know you can achieve big things. And some of you I may not know personally, and you could say, well, Mike, how can you say that about me? I know because I know God has not made you to be a failure in life. God has given each of us the talents and the abilities we need to make a success of our lives. I don't have to make a success of somebody else's life. I can help them. I can try and influence them. I can try and mentor them. But ultimately, we each have to make a success of our own lives. And I believe we each have what we need. And what I have is different from what you have. And what you have is different from what I have. And you may have things that I wish I had. But that's not the point. The point is I've got to use what I have to become the best I can be. I've got to become so valuable that I can add more valuable to other people, more value to other people. And that is how we all will go up in this business. And then apart from the potential that each of us has, and let me just say this, I think the only real limit to our potential are the limits we put on ourselves. When we say, oh, I don't know, I can't, I'm not sure. But then, as I also pointed out at the director workshop, and I discovered what Charles and Jero pointed out, how I had the figures wrong. But anyway, the point now is that if we even reach just 1% of the people in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and they average only 20 points each, we'd be having about 30 million points between the three countries, with 1 out of 100 people. And you know, each year, there's a new crop of young people coming out of school, coming out of university. We'll never run out of people. And then there's the rest of the world. We've seen wonderful growth into the rest of the world out of Africa in the last year or two. I was amazed to see, I even got paid out of Finland. Now, I love traveling, and I read a lot, and I work with maps, so I know where Finland is. Some of you might not even know where Finland is. So the potential is there. But central to all of that potential for each of us is each of us, I and you and I. And it's up to us to make the best of this, what I believe God-given opportunity called Neolife. Neolife has changed our lives. It's changed your life probably a lot already. It can do more for you. I believe Neolife is a precious, precious gift. But what we do with that gift will determine our results. And not just that, I believe, and that may not be your belief, but I believe God will one day judge us as to what we did with this gift He placed in our hands. And remember, you're in business for yourself. You can do it. The potential is there. Don't let anybody hold you back. And then just remember, you're not by yourself. There's the company. Now, AJ can't be with us today. He's in Nigeria with the mid-year rally. But there's the company, AJ, Paul, the team there. And there's your upline. Somewhere in your upline, there will be people who will really help you if you need the help. Why? Because we care about you. We want you to succeed. Because your success is our success. Your success is everybody's success. And the better we become, the more success we can have, the more lives we will change. The more we will leave this world a better place than what we found it. And that, I believe, is our real mission in life. Our real mission isn't to get financially free and be rich and famous and drive the big cars and live in the nice houses. Those are just bonuses. The real value of my life and your life lies in how much value we can bring to other people. Remember, again, Zig Ziglar, we can have everything in life we want if we help enough other people have what they want. So let us go out and serve and help and proverbially wash people's feet. Because what we give, we will get. And I can just in closing tell you that you are really so precious to me. You know, I've been coming to Kenya and Uganda and to a lesser extent Tanzania over the last 25, 26 years, 70 or more times. You're really special to me. And I want to see you succeed. That's why I've gone to the trouble to try and give you the input I have. See it in that spirit, please. And again, Paul, thank you for the opportunity and go well and God bless.
Wow, thank you so much, Mike, for that training. It's cutting in our hearts, and I'm sure all of us after this will be able to take a moment to reflect in terms of our leadership and how we are building our business, because that is where the rise will come from. If you can be able to look at the leadership, fix it, create that relationship with your downlines, your uplines, and the people that you bring into the business, I'm sure we'll be able to build a very good business. Remember, all of us here, we are directors, and once we become a director, we are always reminded our work is to care for the team, but most important is to be able to duplicate ourselves as directors. And I always look at this business and say, if you can be able to develop at least 1 or 2 directors in a year, you'll not be able to finish that year in the same step that you have. So that should be our goal, to be able to at least develop a director. And the beauty is we all know how to do it. We have become directors at one point, so we know how to do it. So if you can be able to incorporate the teachings that Mike is giving us from this session, it will be quite easy for you at least to get 1 director every year. And now we are in July, so we only have a couple of months left. But you can be able to do it. I've seen people stretch and make it quite possible. our goals for Kenya and Uganda is to be able to at least develop 3 directors every single month. And those directors will come from us through sponsoring, through follow-up, through showing those people what they are supposed to do. So I just want to urge each and every one of us. Tanzania is on a speed. I'm sure you were here when AJ was giving us the numbers. Looking at the last 1 year, Tanzania has produced 78 directors in 1 year. Kenya has produced 8, and Uganda has produced 7. So you can see where the challenge is. And our business is struggling because we are not producing directors. So that is something that I want you to internalize as leaders, because if we don't say it here, there's no another place we can say it. This is where it's supposed to be said the way it is, and numbers don't lie, but we have everything possible that can be able to change the numbers. We have the will, we have all the reasons to be able to change those numbers. So what I always advise directors, please at any point be working with at least 3 people that want to develop to qualified senior managers to executive, and eventually you'll be able to get one of them becoming a director. So look at your structure, your system, see whether you are working with at least 3 people that you want to develop. And I'm looking at Gladys, she's all smiles because this year she has been able to produce a director. Congratulations, Gladys. Yeah, I'm just talking about her because her camera is on. I'm sure there are other people who have produced directors, but their cameras are not on. But I'm picking on Gladys because her camera is on. So let us purpose, at least this year, before the end of this year, do whatever it takes, at least to produce a director, and it is possible. So the other thing that I just wanted to bring into our attention is our meetings that are taking place. We have weekend function happening in Uganda this weekend. And Charlie is going to do a leadership meeting with all directors on Sunday after the Sunday session. That will be about 2 p.m. So all the directors from Uganda, please make sure you attend that leadership training with Charlie. It's a good focus. He did it in Tanzania. It was just an amazing time. So if you're a director here from Uganda, remember that. And if you have a director who is not on this call, please tell them not to miss that training with Charlie. Kenya, we are looking at our business presentation on the 30th of this month. That is the end of the month at KICC. Please let's invite. That is where we are going to get the directors that we are talking about. Aberdare Hall is where we are going to be. It should be small for us. If we cannot purposely invite and challenge our teams to invite, I can tell you that all will not be able to accommodate us. So let's start it now and build our business. The other one is the East Africa Convention coming on the 27th. I'm looking forward to see each director who is on the call here in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I've been able to see preparations happening. Please don't miss. As a director, I mean, your leaders, your team is looking at you. If you don't go, trust me, they won't go, and they will never value any event. But if they can see you, planning to go, that will be quite something. So those who have qualified for dinner, the consistency dinner, the list is out. In Uganda, I've seen it on the notice board. So just have a look at it. We'll be able to circulate it on some of the directors' WhatsApp group so that you can be able to see. And for the planning purpose, the dinner will be on the 27th, okay? So we'll finish our convention, you go to your room, you freshen up, then you go for the dinner. So it's happening the same day with the East Africa Convention. For Kenya, I remember we didn't have weekend function in June. We did a media rally. So Charlie is coming to Kenya in October 22nd and 23rd, okay? We have already booked KICC. That will be a very good end of the year meeting for us because it's coming together with the band. So let's look up for that event and start preparing ourselves so that we can be able to make it a success. So I just want to thank Mike very much for this follow-up meeting. Mike will be able to look at the dates for the next follow-up meeting for August. I don't know whether you have them.
Paul, if it's required, we can do that. I haven't planned any. The idea
Okay.
was that we do the 5 or 6 that we've done.
Okay.
If we do, it will be different from what I've done up till now, but you let me know and then we can decide.
Perfect. How many of you would like us to continue with these kind of sessions? You can just raise up your hand on the screen. There's a place where you can press. There's a place, yeah, Mike, you can see. So this is a very popular call, Mike. Please, we really value this kind of information. You can see the screen is lit with people raising up their hands, showing the popularity of this event. So we can do it, even if it's some months might be quite constraining. We may not do twice a month, but if you can even just do once a month, I think it would be quite something for us to continue, tapping into your experience, and we'll be grateful. So thank you, leaders, for coming. We are going to plan this kind of meetings with Mike, and we'll be sure telling you the dates in good time. Please make sure you attend, and I'll be so happy. If you attend the next one with a new director, there's a prize for you. There's a special prize for you. So go out, let's develop directors, and let's keep on learning. So thank you so much, Mike, and everyone. Let's go out. I've shared the dates for month end. The first day is on the 1st of August. So let's start planning with the team and close the month at a high speed. So thank you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye. I'll be able to secrete I'll be able to secrete the recording quickly. So you can unmute yourself and say bye-bye to Mike.
Bye-bye, everybody. Go well. God bless.
Bye-bye.